After replacing the long-lost true young lady who is deaf and mute to marry the ruthless villain, I have to act like a wooden person every day to stay in character. When the villain brazenly took off his clothes to take a shower, I pretended to be asleep. When he did push-ups with his upper body bare, I still pretended to be asleep. When he walked past in a see-through outfit, I continued pretending to be asleep. Unexpectedly, he slipped and fell right into my arms. I immediately twisted my waist to turn away, pretending not to see him at all. Just as I was relieved to have maintained my reserved demeanor, I heard him grinding his teeth in his mind. People who don't know better would think she's blind. All she does is sleep, sleep, sleep every day. Is sleeping more fun than sleeping with me? I should have listened to them and just slipped her a strong drug in the first place. My steps slowed in shock. If I didn't have to pretend to be mute right now, I'd have grabbed him by the collar and made him say that again, especially that last line. Ken steadied himself, then casually tucked the little bag that had fallen out back into his pocket. Sorry, lost my balance. Such a stubborn mouth. I still couldn't fully believe I could hear his thoughts. I decided to test it out, so I stepped in front of him to block his way. A flash of surprise crossed the man's face. After a nervous swallow, he put back on that indifferent, aristocratic expression. What are you doing? I gestured with sign language. Why are you wearing this outfit today? Ken froze, a flicker of unconscious unease in his demeanor. Does it look bad? That face of his, he'd look good in anything. Though, honestly, he'd look even better with nothing on. Especially yesterday, when he took off his clothes and showered right in front of me. I saw everything I needed to see. The man's breathing softened, he even held his breath, too nervous to blink. Damn it, I've never been this tense, not even during exams. 3 seconds. It's been 3 whole seconds. She's been silent for 3 seconds straight, she must think it looks bad. Who the hell said man being a little flamboyant would make their wives like them? I'll beat that person up. My wife clearly likes the understated type. For the record, I never said that. Ken couldn't hold back from pressing further, nervously twisting the corner of his clothes. It really doesn't look good? I hesitated, then shook my head. A cloud of gloom settled over the man's brows, he looked utterly upset. After a moment's thought, I hooked my pinky around his. I signed, it's not that I don't like it, it's that I'm worried you'll catch a cold. And I mean it. It's nearly 0 degrees outside, and he's always had a weak constitution, he can't afford to get sick. Oh. Ken dipped his head faintly, his tone flat. She still doesn't seem cheered up, but she didn't deny it, so that means she likes it. Phew, I almost thought this was all just my one-man show. Caring this much about someone of the opposite sex, what else could it be but love? If I'd known earlier, I would have just what? I wanted to hear the rest. Instead, the tips of the man's ears turned pink. He pressed his lips tight and cut off that train of thought. I holed up in the bathroom to process the fact that I could hear Ken's inner voice. Could this be the cheat code the system left me? A week ago, I'd accidentally transmigrated into this novel. I didn't even know its title. Why didn't I know? Because I wasn't the protagonist, so I didn't need to. Those were the system's exact words. I was just a cannon fodder supporting character who'd posed as the Carter family's young lady for 20 years, until the truth came out and I was exposed as a fake. The real young lady was deaf and mute, with a timid personality. When she found out her fiancé was Ken, she cried and refused to marry him no matter what. With no other options, the Carters came to me, asking if I could take her place. Right then and there, I cried too. Because the system had emphasized the name Ken several times, labeling him the novel's villain, cunning, deceitful, and cold-hearted. Even though he had plenty of money and power, his reputation for cruelty kept most people at a distance. Word had it he'd picked the engagement with the Carter daughter on a whim, like a child choosing sides in a game. A few years back, the Carter family had hit a financial crisis, and it was only Ken's kind help that pulled them through. That made it even harder for them to say no to the marriage. In short, I'd married Ken in the real young lady's stead, and I also had to pretend to be deaf and mute. Every day was a test of my acting skills, not to mention I had to put on a show of being indifferent to everything and everyone. Looking back on these past few days, he'd been so out of character. It's not just him taking off his clothes and showering right in front of me, leaving the door wide open, no less. It's also him doing push-ups without a shirt on, right on the path I have to walk every day. I'm terrified of blowing my cover, so I can only pretend to be asleep. Sleeping here, sleeping there. I keep running into him face to face. It's really weird. If I think over those thoughts of his from earlier, could he be trying to seduce me? I was just about to take off my bra when Ken pushed the door open. Both of us froze. He stared blankly for a few seconds, then finally looked away, belatedly explaining, "Sorry, you took longer than usual. I was worried something happened, so I came in directly. I take off my hearing aids before showering. It makes sense for him to be concerned, but what doesn't make sense is..." I lifted my hand and waved it in front of him, then pointed toward the door. My gesture meant, "Why are you still here?" All the hot air's escaping. Ken let out a slow, drawn-out "oh." His movement of closing the door was like it was in slow motion, as if he was waiting for something. My wife's actually wearing the underwear I bought her. It looks so good. Will she ask me to stay? Hurry, 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 say it. Oh right, my wife can't speak. Then just one look from her is enough. If she looks at me, I'll stay right away. Actually, I bought the bathtub big enough for 2 people. I can totally handle it. This man is really... Is he even allowed to think stuff this bold? I'd never forget the first time I met this novel's villain. He'd been so distant and aloof, just as the rumors said, completely unapproachable. Back then, I'd instantly wanted to back out of the marriage, but I didn't dare offend him. So I'd come up with a ruthless plan. I told him I was gluttonous and lazy, had a volatile temper, was frigid, and even had a phobia of physical contact with the opposite sex. At the time, I'd been secretly pleased, thinking, Ken's not an idiot. There's no way he'd marry someone as troublesome as me. Sure enough, the man's expression had turned unreadable, and he'd said he'd think about it carefully. I immediately went to tell the Carters that Ken hadn't taken a liking to me, even told me to stay away. Right after that, I planned to buy a plane ticket and leave the country. But on my way to the airport, someone stopped me. Ken was sitting in the car, staring at me with a cold, menacing look. Miss Olivia is in quite a hurry, he said. The wedding hasn't even happened yet, and you've already picked out your honeymoon spot? I panicked and started signing to explain, but he turned his head away. His voice was sharp and rigid. I don't understand sign language. And I don't want to. Was he angry? When I got in Ken's car, his expression softened a little. You're gluttonous and lazy? I have more than enough money. I can hire as many people to wait on you as you want, he said. I froze. Your temper's volatile? That's fine too. I'm very forgiving. He glanced at me, his tone low and soft. You can do whatever you want to amuse yourself. You're frigid? That's okay too. I don't have much interest in that kind of thing anyway. Ken spoke with a look of complete indifference, but there was a faint awkwardness in his demeanor. Worst case, I'll just try harder later. Try harder at what? Back then, I was still intimidated by him. I didn't dare ask what exactly he planned to try harder at. Ken cooked dinner. The first bite crunched faintly in my mouth, way too salty. I immediately put down my chopsticks to grab a glass of water, and ended up choking on it. Across the table, the man in an apron watched the whole scene without a flicker of expression. Once again, I'm in awe of my own talent. First time cooking, and I already made my wife eager for more. Too bad she doesn't like me touching her. I wanted to pat her back. I made shrimp on purpose. I'm dying for her to ask me to peel them. My shrimp peeling skills are top tier. Where does he even get this confidence? I decided to knock him down a peg, so I deliberately picked a shrimp and put it on his plate. Ken's expression didn't change as he said, "Thank you." His hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. Ha ha ha, I'm amazing. My wife just served me food with her own hands. Is she hinting at something? Serving shrimp. Could it be she wants to do that with me? Too bad I was born without a sense of taste. I can't tell the flavor. But anything my wife gives me is sweet. Hearing that, a twinge of guilt crept in. For him to go out of his way to learn cooking for me, even like this, it really wasn't easy. So, feeling guilty, I kept piling more food onto his plate. Ken ate with a straight face, occasionally muttering, "You're so annoying. Don't be picky. I'm not a glutton, you know. Give me one more shrimp." Such a stubborn man, his heart's practically singing. So after dinner, I took the initiative to offer doing the dishes. But before I could even step into the kitchen, he picked me up with one arm and carried me away. "Get out. I don't want to wash your clothes." He suddenly froze, realizing he'd let something slip. His eyes darted in panic. "What I mean is, if you get your clothes dirty again, do you want to wear out the washing machine?" I gave him a skeptical look. That was close. I almost let my wife find out I'd been hand-washing all her dirty clothes this whole time. I swear, it's not like I'm being a pervert. How can a washing machine make them smell as nice as my hand-washing does? There's no way I'd let my wife do the dishes. If word got out, they'd all laugh at me for being useless. I'll brag about this in the group later, make those losers jealous. Today's Best Husband award definitely belongs to me. Later, I'll pull off something even better, let my wife see what I'm capable of. What on earth? Weren't all those villains in the group supposed to be talking about who they dislike and ruining people's businesses? So all that time he's been glued to his phone, furiously typing away, he's just bickering with them? Wait, no, what did he say at the end? I fidgeted restlessly while waiting for Ken to finish washing up, my mind kept drifting to inappropriate thoughts. I couldn't help but wonder, if things really went that way, should I push him away? The real question was, could he even handle it? Don't get me wrong, this isn't discrimination, I'm just worried his weak body might make him pass out halfway through. I was lost in these messy thoughts when Ken came over with a basin of water. He pressed his lips into a thin line and said, "Put your feet in." He's going to wash my feet? Don't get me wrong, I lost a bet with my friends. The punishment is washing my wife's feet. If I don't do it, I have to give him $1 million. If you feel uncomfortable at all, tell me to stop anytime. You guys really know how to play. Dude, do you look like someone who's short on $1 million? He makes it sound so real, but if his hand holding my ankle wasn't trembling like crazy, I might have actually believed him. Half an hour later, I stared at the man who was practically beaming while washing my feet, and couldn't help but pat his head. I signed, "Aren't you done yet?" Ken's expression instantly went blank. He put on a stern look, despite his handsome face. "Experts say any foot wash that's less than an hour is useless. Make it up. Keep making it up." I'd already heard his thoughts. He was planning to reheat the water and keep washing for another hour. In the end, my impatience must have been too obvious. Ken carefully dried my feet and scurried off. Even the system was shocked when it popped up. "Whoa, haven't seen you in a few days, and you've actually tamed a villain this well? Spill the tips. Your neighbor, the female lead, has been stressed out lately. Just yesterday, she was dead set on switching her target. I just expressed my sympathy. I just got lucky. My assigned task is just to go along with the plot." Since the system was here anyway, I asked the question I'd been turning over in my mind for days. All the villains I've ever encountered never end well. What's Ken's fate? From how we've gotten along these past few days, Ken isn't a bad person, just a little narcissistic and chatty sometimes. The system scratched its head, looking confused. This novel's still updating. The author hasn't decided his ending yet. But if you want to change it, you can start guiding him to be a better person now. Avoid major conflicts with the protagonist. The ending won't be great, but he probably won't die. I was about to agree when the system warned me, "You have to think this through. If you mess with the plot, it might extend how long you're stuck here." I glanced toward the man in the bathroom, scrubbing my clothes. If all it takes is this, trading my time here, to keep him alive. I didn't finish the thought, but the system understood. Ken got an urgent phone call. After hanging up, he grabbed his coat and only gave a brief explanation. "I need to go out for a bit. You go to bed first." The system told me to stop him. Asterisk, the male lead's in trouble. Someone's deliberately luring the villain over. Tomorrow, the villain will be framed for hiring a hitman. This is how his relationship with the male lead starts to fall apart. Asterisk. Before I could even process it, I reached out and took Ken's hand. The man froze in his tracks. His breathing slowed right down. "What are you doing?" I racked my brain, trying to think of a reason to make him stay. But his thoughts were completely all over the place. Is this her way of seducing me? So sophisticated. Yeah, ordinary tricks wouldn't work on me, but this one's perfect. What's my wife staring at me for? Does she want to kiss me? No, wait, she's waiting for me to make the first move, right? Fine, if she blinks 3 times, that means my guess is correct. Oh, forget just kissing, she could even hit me, and I'd let her. So those lines in novels about kissing you and giving you my whole life aren't crazy talk, they're basically instruction manuals. Please don't look at me like that. I'm getting nervous. The system spoke up out of nowhere. Did I get the wrong person? This guy's the villain? You gotta be kidding me, man. Neither of us could figure out where things had gone off track. I looked at Ken with big, helpless eyes and signed a gesture for scared. Ken's body shifted slightly, and he stepped closer to me. Afraid of being home alone? I nodded. The man nodded thoughtfully. Since you're asking me to stay, as your husband, it's only right that I keep you company. Wait, when did I ask him? Oh well, if it means he'll stay, it doesn't matter. I thought there was something odd about his gaze, though I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Ken, who always stuck to a 10 p.m. bedtime like clockwork, was standing at the bedroom door at 8 o'clock sharp. It's time to sleep. I was in the middle of binging a show. The male lead was so handsome that I couldn't help but let out an excited gasp when he appeared on screen. Lucky for me, Ken was in the shower and didn't hear it. That was close, almost blew my cover. When Ken saw I wasn't moving, he urged me again, "Olivia." I gave him a look that said I didn't want to sleep yet. This was our first little tiff since we got married. The man gripped the doorknob tightly and took a deep breath. He forced his tone to soften, saying aloud, "Staring at the screen too long is bad for your eyes. I'll hide her iPad tomorrow." I even purposely forgot my towel in the shower just to make her bring it to me, and she didn't even glance at me. We just got married, and she's already lost interest in me. What am I gonna do if anyone finds out? I can't take this. I'd had enough of his noisy internal complaints, so I gave in and turned off the show. Fine, let's sleep. Ken and I didn't sleep in separate rooms, but there was still enough space between us in bed to fit 2 more people. That was his idea, probably because I'd told him I had a phobia of physical contact with the opposite sex before. I'd actually been pretty touched by it. Who would have thought a villain could be this chivalrous? Turns out, when he climbed into bed after his shower, I was stunned by the thoughts he was hiding. My wife's frigid, we really are a match made in heaven. I wondered what on earth he meant by a match made in heaven. The man silently tugged at the quilt, sighing inwardly with melancholy. Should I tell my wife about my addiction? I almost couldn't keep up the mute act. Asterisk addiction? What kind? Which area are we talking about? Actually, every second I'm with my wife, I can't stop thinking about it. Sniffles, better not say anything. She already hates this kind of stuff as it is. If I tell her, she'll start hating me too. What if she wants a divorce? But lying next to her like this, every second the scent drifting off her is a test for me. Ken can hold back, but little Ken can't. It's never even had a taste of this before. I was still in a daze when Ken suddenly gave himself a slap somewhere, for no apparent reason. His face stayed completely calm, but his thoughts were pleading. Behave yourself. Still standing up like that? Did my wife give you permission? So unruly. No way. Is he out of his mind? Isn't that part of his own body? I remember marrying a villain, not someone with a split personality. Watching Ken keep rambling on in his thoughts, I couldn't stand it anymore and got out of bed. The man jumped, startled. What's wrong with you? By the light of the bedside lamp, I signed to him that I was going to get some water. The stiff line of Ken's mouth relaxed. He settled back down with a sense of relief, then put on that ask for help act. I want some too. I studied his expression, a feeling that something was off nagging at me. My intuition didn't let me down. After Ken finished the water I brought him, he started saying he was too hot. He kicked off the quilt and undid the buttons at the neck of his pajamas, letting out little sounds of being unbearably overheated every now and then. I tried to pretend to be asleep. Why isn't she reacting at all? Did I not moan loud enough? Maybe I should sound more suggestive? Is just taking off my shirt not enough? Should I take off my underwear too? Just as Ken was looking eager to try that, I finally woke up. Playing along, I signed to ask what was wrong. I think something's off after I drank your water. Did you put something in it? The man was terrible at lying. When he looked at me, his eyes practically screamed, asterisk look. I'm faking it, I did this on purpose. I could barely hold back a laugh. Asterisk, is his next line gonna be accusing me of putting aphrodisiacs in the water? The thought had barely crossed my mind when Ken leaned in. Actually, you don't need to put medicine in it, I'm fine without it. I pushed him away at once, waving my hands to signal I'd put nothing in the water. He sat up straight. That can't be. Then why am I? The man's gaze locked on me as he swallowed hard. He picked up the half-empty glass of water and held it out. Try it if you don't believe me. To dispel his doubts, I played along again, taking a sip. I gave him a look that said, see? There's nothing wrong with it at all. The man took a sip too, then said weakly, oh, right. Guess there isn't. His eyes returned to normal, no more flushed cheeks, no rapid breathing, and he even tidied his clothes back up neatly on his own. Just as I wondered why he'd changed so quickly, his thoughts hit me. She drank the water I just had. We just had an indirect kiss. Does that mean we can hold hands tomorrow? And the day after tomorrow, maybe we can. The water my wife drank is so sweet. Thank goodness for my smart brain coming up with this idea. We've only been married a month, and we already kissed. Our progress is so fast. I felt a jumble of emotions, totally confused about what he was so excited about. The Thompson family's old mansion called, asking us to come over for dinner. When I heard that bad news, I didn't crack a smile all day. The system had mentioned that the male lead and the villain were half-brothers. Their relationship wasn't irreparably hostile yet, but in later plot points, every time they met, their hatred for each other would deepen. So the system said if I wanted to change Ken's ending, the best way was to keep them from meeting. Of course, there was another reason. The old ladies in the Thompson family were obsessed with urging couples to have kids. On our wedding day, they'd swarmed around me, telling me to have a son soon. Ken's health has never been good, they'd said, and when he was little, someone even predicted he wouldn't live past 30. You need to have a son so you'll have someone to rely on later. To be honest, even if I hadn't liked Ken that much, hearing people talk about my new husband's short lifespan like that made me feel a visceral disgust toward them. I was racking my brain for an excuse to get out of it when Ken got a follow-up call from the Thompsons, pressing him to come. He said flatly, I don't want to go. Why doesn't he want to go? Because I get annoyed just looking at all of you. Ken was at least politely distant to everyone, except the Thompsons. And if they pressed for a reason? I'm pregnant. My wife has to stay home and take care of me. Happy now? He's out of his mind. I couldn't help but want to laugh at the absurdity. Ken had no idea I was behind him, listening to the entire call. He fumbled with his phone, flustered, and a faint flush spread across his face, whether from panic or embarrassment, I couldn't tell. He mumbled weakly, let me explain. For all his outward timidity, his mind was already spiraling. Oh my God, what am I saying? My cold, abstinent persona is completely ruined. My wife just started being nice to me, and I go and do something this stupid. Is it too late to die right now? I pressed my lips together to hold back a smile. Actually, this flustered version of him was surprisingly genuine and endearing. To stop him from spiraling into something worse, I signed that I was hungry. The man let out a huge sigh of relief, regaining his composure. Then I'll go cook. No. I grabbed his hand and signed, I'll cook. After all, his cooking was really inedible. Ken switched to helping out instead, though his eyes kept sneaking glances at me now and then. My ears were filled with the sound of his silent giggles in his head. I had no idea why he was so happy. I made the same dish he'd cooked the other day, and deliberately picked out a shrimp for him, wanting to make it clear what a good-tasting shrimp actually tasted like. Ken said nothing, he just ate it. Before I could even react, I silently heard his inwardly triumphant thoughts. My wife made this shrimp, I'll eat it shell and all. What can I say? I'm just that forgiving. She's so stubborn. She knows I love shrimp, so she made it and told me to eat more, seriously. Oh no, I forgot to take a photo. I should have sent it to the group to show off to those guys. Even eating couldn't stop his rambling mind. Just then, my phone on the table lit up with a few incoming messages. I'm back. Are you okay? Let's meet. The sender's username was, ex-husband bro. The system popped up with a notification. Good news, you didn't set this nickname, it's his actual username. Bad news, this really is your ex-boyfriend. Ken's chopsticks clattered to the floor. He bent down to pick them up, acting as if nothing had happened. I wanted to flip my phone over to hide the screen, but it felt like that would only make me look guilty, so I pulled back my hand halfway through. The man closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and stayed quiet for 3 seconds before speaking. Go, and come back soon. It's going to rain outside, don't forget an umbrella. Oh, and you're on your period these days, so don't drink anything cold. Do you want me to drive you there? By the time he said the last sentence, there was both disappointment and a flicker of hope in Ken's eyes. I thought for a moment, then shook my head, telling him to stay home and rest. Oh. The man hung his head, looking dejected. I reached out and touched his hand, then started signing to explain. It's not what you think with him. But he lifted his hand to cut me off. No need to say it. It's fine, I'm not misunderstanding anything. I trust you. Really. I'm not that petty. Just, don't overthink it, okay? Honestly, I'm doing fine. I was relieved he felt that way. I changed my clothes, and when I reached the entryway, I glanced back without thinking. The man on the sofa was avoiding my gaze, and he hadn't even turned a single page of the document in his hand. Why is she looking back at me before leaving? Does she hate to leave? Pfft, it's just a meeting with her ex. Am I really that petty? As her husband, I've got to have the grace that comes with the role. He's just a blast from the past, why should I care? Could he really steal my wife right from under me? Though it's not like it's impossible. Ken's expression had already soured. He covered his mouth, fidgeting restlessly, unable to focus on a single thing. Think about it, she's already married, and he still comes crawling back. What else could he want besides being a homewrecker? It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm such a great husband, my wife isn't blind. But, we got married in a flash, and I basically forced her into it. She doesn't even have feelings for me yet. That ex-husband guy must be so smug right now.